It is not you, it is your programs. That is what it is. Hey, it's Lenny Wennerstrom, and I am here to help you find your purpose. One of the tools I use in order to do that is Dr. Shad Helmstedter's book. You can tell it's so loved. Look at it's missing all kinds of stuff. But this book, 365 Days of Positive Self-Talk for Finding Your Purpose. So today is October 7th. It is day 281. There are 85 days left in the year, and we are over 76% complete with 2024. So October 7th, here is your passage. It's not me, it's my programs. If it isn't working, it's not the way I was born to be. It's the programs I received or gave to myself. If I want to do something wonderful with my life, I can get rid of the programs that work against me, imagine the future I'd like to live, and go ahead and do it. The only thing that can stop me is me. Bzzzt! This is a perfect one for your higher self, that higher you, to be speaking to that lower self on planet Earth. Are you ready? Spinning it around, the second person. It's not you, it's your programs. If it isn't working, it's not the way you were born to be. It's the programs you received or gave to yourself. If you want to do something wonderful with your life, you can get rid of the programs that work against you. Imagine the future you'd like to live and go ahead and do it. The only thing that can stop you is you. And that is true. That is the way that it is. You are the only thing standing between you and having success at every single thing of your life, in every single area of your life. And why is that? It's your programs. Your programs. Your brain, that beautiful computer, intaking, it's constantly recording. When it is repeated, as we know, and especially with emotion, then it's like it is wired into your brain. So those programs can stop you from doing, being, creating, changing absolutely anything or having anything that you want in your life. It's simply your programs. And that's the good news. And the even better news, it's not very difficult to change those programs when you use the app that Dr. Shad Helmstetter created for us, because that's passive listening. Passive versus active. Passive listening is simply while you're doing something else, exercising, walking, doing the dishes, loading the dishwasher, taking a shower. I do that a lot when I'm taking the shower. I listen to it. Anything at all, when you're making breakfast or driving to work, whatever it is that you're doing, you can listen passively, just in the background, just like if the TV was on, because if the TV is on, it's programming you. So you might want to turn that television off unless it's a program that you really want to be watching and doesn't have all the commercials for buy this drug or this, or these are the way things are better for you, especially if those are programs that you don't want. If you want them, that's a different story. So let's read this again, because it's so key to understanding everything that we have been talking about this whole year, because we started November 13th, and then we started all over again on that was 23. We're now in 24, and we're in the last quarter of 24. So we've been doing this together since January 1, like for the whole year, reading these passages and having conversations about them. And I have been showing you, because since before July, but I started in July, showing you how you can excel in times of change, in times of difficult change. Remember the word difficult. That's really a state of mind, and you get to choose whether that state of mind suits you or not. And you also get to decide whether you're in the drama triangle. I have found myself in the drama triangle quite a bit, and then I just infuse myself. I just let that compassion energy flow through me, so it neutralizes those emotions, and then I can move forward with my self-talk and all the tools that you and I have talked about a lot, spiritual tools, because I teach practical spirituality, which is my version of what I've created. And that is, hi, Charlie. We brought Charlie back with us last night after we came home in the motorhome. Lynette drove a lot, if you watched yesterday, but she drove a lot in the motorhome. And her first time, she did an amazing job. That's a 37-foot. It's not a 42. I mean, that's the longest, or 45. But 37 foot is pretty long. You got to know where your back end is. And not just that, we didn't have a camera. The camera broke. And then we were also towing a Jeep. So we're about, 37, which is really 38. So we're about 48 feet, the whole thing. And she drove into gas stations and drove around curves and a little bit through towns. And so she did a really amazing job. That I told her yesterday because when I first started driving that motorhome, it was very intimidating to me. And it was only after I had listened to self-talk, I was like, I got this. I can do this. It was really interesting how I came at it than, say, 2 years prior. It was more than that, longer than that, because we hadn't gone anywhere since during COVID. So, but the self-talk, it was easy for me to just say, I got this. And I did. I came at it with self-confidence rather than feeling intimidated. And I saw Lynette do the very same thing. She was like, Mommy, I want to drive. And then she did it. And she drove 2, 3, 4 hours of the 7. She did an amazing job. And so I'm telling you, it works in ways that you may not even understand. But let's read this again because this passage is so powerful for October 7th. It's not me, it's my programs. If it isn't working, it's not the way I was born to be. It's the programs I received or gave to myself. Received from who? Received from parents, from teachers, from siblings, from friends, peers, from your religion, going to church, from your physical PE coaches, your just anyone who your coach, like if you were on sports, or anyone who was influential in your life, and especially if it was repeated, your brain was recording, and if it was repeated, then you started repeating it to yourself, and it became wired in. So this is why, if you think about being born, say in the United States, and you're Catholic or you're Christian or you're whatever it is that you are, and if you would have been swooped away when you were a month old or 2 weeks old or even 3 months old, and you went to a whole different country with a whole different culture that is totally different, say you went to Turkey or to Egypt or Italy, or, well, you would definitely be Catholic more than likely there, but no matter where, something totally different, you would be that. You would have those beliefs. You would have those values. You would have those thoughts about other people and other religions and all of that. And that's just to show you these are your programs. They are all programs. And you get to change the ones that no longer serve you, that you're with limitations, that you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're a quitter. You stop when it, in the middle of things, I self-sabotage, like that kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't even know why. Well, the reason why are your programs. So to keep reading this, if you want to do something wonderful with your life, you can get rid of the programs that work against me. I started reading it both in you and me, but I mean in the first person and second person. Let's just start all over, and let's just do it in the second person. This is not how Dr. Shad wrote it. He always writes it so that you can read it to yourself, which is you saying I. But we're going to turn it around because I want you to hear it from like your higher self telling you about yourself. It's not you, it's your programs. If it isn't working, it's not the way you were born to be. It's the programs I received or gave to yourself. If you want to do something wonderful with your life, you can get rid of the programs that work against you. Imagine the future you'd like to live and go ahead and do it. The only thing that can stop you is you. And that is so true and powerful and empowering. So I hope that is helpful to you. A little update on Steve is he was really not fun to be around today, and he's in the hospital. And I it was another day where Lynette and I decided that he needs to get out of the hospital. That the hospital psychosis, or that delirium, that hospital delirium, they call it acute delirium. It is a very real thing, and the more that I talk about it, the more I hear from people that have really had to deal with their loved ones in that delirium. And in fact, the charge nurse tonight said, my mom was like that. In the day, she was fine and everything. She was in the hospital, and then at night, she just changed, and she was so mean and didn't recognize me, and was like as if I was going to steal something from her or hurt her or something. And I stayed with her the night, and she was just looking at me, staring at me all night long, like I was going to do something. And she would stay awake in the day and sleep in the night. And it's the same thing with Steve, just a different expression. And today was no exception. He said some really mean things, and was telling me, call 911, call the sheriff, and the nurse has really screwed us, and you've been screwed, and now you think you just don't even know it. And I was like, what do you do with that? Well, what I did is just love him, and love him through it, and have patience and tolerance and kindness, even though, at some points you just want to leave. It's because it's a lot. And at least I felt like kind of like that. But my love for him and compassion for where he's at, and just that human experience, that helped me to help him to actually get to a point to where he could sleep tonight. And I gave him even I gave him some homeopathic remedies, which don't ever have anything. They never mess up any medications, but he's on so few medications now. So physically, he's doing really well. Cognitively, has that that whole thing going on, and it makes it really difficult, because, like he told me, I was the reason why he was in the hospital, and it's all my fault. And I mean, just he says stuff like that. And it was really interesting how this time, because before it's triggered me, because it hurts. It can hurt. And Lynette and I have been talking about it for quite a while, and it's like, it's not. He would never hurt us, ever, ever. And we know that this is not him, and we know that this is what they call that hospital delusion, all of that. So not delusion. What's the word? Oh, delirium. Lynette helped me with that, but delirium. And it's pretty bad. It was really bad tonight. We thought we were done with that. But anyway, so I just worked with him for several hours, and he actually fell asleep, and he wanted to sleep. I gave him some water. I had them take out all of his, because he had gotten dialysis. Like, take it out. If his numbers are good, take it out. The IV, take it out. Anything he can pull, because and he agreed. Like he said, you take all that stuff out, and I won't pull or pick, because he picks these sores, and he just bleeds everywhere. It's really awful. He's just it's like this, like his skin is itchy, and he's had one shower since July 9th. Well, July 9th he had the shower before we went into the hospital, and then before we took him, and then he had one, gosh, in August. I don't know. So probably late August. So, or maybe early September. I don't really know. There's a million baths, but bath with chemical cleaners, and it's been, because he wasn't able to walk, and so it was real hard for them to get him up, and all of that. So anyway, that's where we're at. And and I'm telling you, you can excel in times of change. If I can excel, you can. This is like, we didn't know whether he was going to die. We didn't know, and we still don't know. We don't know what's going on, and we're, especially Lynette, everything has fallen on her with our business, and he taught her quite a bit, but not enough. He expected her to. He was kind of, by the time he pulled her into the business, because she didn't want to do it, and she told him. He only asked her one time, like 5 years ago, and then now it's been 6, because it's been a year since she's been having to do stuff. But so she's doing our commercial real estate company. She's doing her job, and she's doing helping with the personal stuff, and then so that I can take care of him. And that's a full-time job in itself. And then she has her astrology, and she's doing amazing at that. So between the two of us and me, I'm growing my business, and in spite of, long nights and long days that can really, if we allowed all of this to take us down, to say, yes, do we crumble here and there? Yes, because we're human. That's the human experience. And we just infuse ourselves with this compassion energy, and then we move ourselves forward. And Lynette said something, it's like our ability to just take more and more and more grows. Like we can do more and more, and sometimes we kind of hit that limit, and then it's like we have to expand even more, because even more comes, seems to come our way. We believe we choose it all, and so it's not wrong. It's really, what do we want to learn from it, and how can we move ourselves forward, and how can we still keep our health and our humor around it, and still live, like bringing the motorhome back. We had such a good time watching the wiener dogs. Now 2 nights ago, it was so fun on Saturday night, and tonight's Monday. Is tonight Monday? Yeah, I think it's Monday. And and then such good news is that the place where he was at for rehab, they're just holding his bed for him, and they don't normally do that. So the whole thing with the doctors is like, stop, pull everything, and all of that. And the doctor's so cool. He's kind of like the one in Amarillo. He's like, I know that this is when you have this acute delirium, it can get really bad, like Steve. It's really bad, and where he knows, but like very accusatory, and saying that I'm part of the problem and I've caused stuff, and it can be really hurtful, because it's almost like someone with dementia or Alzheimer's, that they don't recognize you. But I think this is worse, because it's very what's very personal, and he doesn't have dementia, and he doesn't have Alzheimer's, and so you just never know what you're going to get. You don't know if you're going to have that loving man, or you're going to have someone who's like a child, or throwing a tantrum, or some of both, or or someone that's mean and says really mean things. And so you just don't know what you're going to get. And so that's why I say sometimes it might be worse, at least if you knew it was a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia. I would be working to help fix that brain, and give him all the nutrients, the things that I know to do, that I would do. But this is different, and so, and then they say he can't swallow, so I'm having to do stuff knowing that he can swallow, and do what I can to do. If I know what's best, I'm going to do what's best for him, and that's what I do. And I feel really good about that, because now he got the homeopathic meds that don't interfere with any medication, which he's on very few, and so I know that that's going to help him, hopefully, to sleep all night. But mostly he's awake and saying help. He's that patient saying help now. Call 911. Call the sheriff. Arrest David. David was the nurse today. And it's like, it almost seems like a comedy. and it can be irritating and it can be all kinds of stuff, but mostly we just try and come at it from compassion and love, and still keep ourselves together, going every single day and serving our clients, and still, doing his job, his work of the commercial real estate. And Lynette has a lot of that, takes a lot of that burden. She takes a lot of that load, and does it with a smile as much as she can, and really keeps us together. So it's a family affair, and we're very, very grateful for it. And all of this to say, you too can excel in times of change. You absolutely can. And and it doesn't matter what the change is, small or large, like what I'm going through and what Lynette's going through, because this is so personal and you just don't even know this person. And it's like, when does this end? She mentioned, like, when it started, because she had this happen, and with her grandmother, with his mom, and it was almost like, when does this end? She's gonna die, and then rushing off to Arkansas, and then she didn't die for 2 weeks and 3 weeks, but she had many moments in between. It's like, man, I kind of feel like it's not like you want him to die. It's just like you want some closure so that you can move your life forward. And with Steve, there just hasn't been any closure, because he's been so normal and doing business and doing this and doing that, and then boom, then he's sick, and then he's this or that or whatever, and then it's back to that. And these last, like these last 3.5, since July 9th, but actually a little before that, it's been real. It's emotionally draining if you allow it to be. So you can excel in times of change. If I can, you can. That's just the way it is. I'm talking the talk, I'm walking the walk, and I'm showing you this is how you do it. You use your self-talk. You take the spiritual tools that serve you. One of the best ones for me is everything is a message to me for positive change. Absolutely everything, even this experience. And I'm growing, I'm expanding. Lynette is growing, she's expanding. And we found, like, we would have never met the people that we've met. We would have never, our relationship has deepened, and we've seen each other's strengths and weaknesses and been able to lift and been there for that. We would have never seen all this, participated and done all these things, changed and grown and all of these things, had we not have had this experience, this ongoing experience, which we would both love for it to end. However it ends, Steve getting better would be the best thing of all for us. But everyone has their journey, and he has his, and we continue to honor his journey and ours. And now we're really moving towards really doing more for what it is where we want to go. So and still doing our best to take care of him. So that's the story. I hope you've enjoyed this update. I hope you've enjoyed this whole, I hope you're enjoying the 365 days of self-talk, of positive self-talk for finding your purpose. Your purpose is what gives you meaning. It gives you direction. If I did not have direction in my life, if I did not know what my purpose was, I would really be having a difficult time with this. I would be tossed and turned by the doctors, the nurses, by this one that says that, and the other says this, and then one says, he's in the active stage of dying, and I mean, to move into that 3D world of someone telling you that, all these different things, and it's constant. You like, a nurse might tell you by the side, I know my grandpa did this, or, well, how has he died? And it's well meant, but that having that purpose and knowing that, and especially that strong spiritual root of knowing that this is so temporary. It's so temporary. We're not this. Like, I'm not Lenny, this face, this body, or anything. This is my vessel for planet Earth that I have chosen. The rest, I'm unlimited. It's spirit flowing through me. It's spirit that's breathing. That is the real me. And all of this is just my vessel here on planet Earth. And knowing that, it's like, is this the reality that I choose? in your reality, it's not like this is what's happening. It's more, how do I perceive what's happening? What's my perspective? How do I feel about it? And do I want to look at it differently? Do I want to have an open perspective about it, and an attitude that isn't like, oh, this is so hard and difficult, because I've had those, as you've seen as I've gone through this, like, this is so difficult. And difficult is a state of mind. And I choose with choices to 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 live fully and have vitality, and to look at things as that I can get through this, that this is a challenge. It's not one that I cannot overcome. I can overcome it. What does it look like? It continues to go, but every day I switch my attitude. I literally shift. I shift and shift and shift all day long, and it gets easier and easier and easier. It used to be like, it take me hours to shift, and and now it's like, doing, okay, that's, man, I'm really going down that planet Earth negative thinking, and boing, let's shift. And that's what I do. That's what I do. Higher self, let's shift. It's time. And we do that. And one of those other tools is, what would my higher self do? What would my enlightened self do? And I think if you asked yourself that in any situation with any challenge, what would my enlightened self do? You're going to find an answer. And the answer may not be one that your 3D planet Earth vehicle likes to hear, but you get the answer. You get the answer of where you're going. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to read this one last time. It's a really good one. I love it, for October 7th. And I'm going to read it the way Dr. Shad wrote it. It's not me, it's my programs. If it isn't working, it's not the way I was born to be. It's the programs I received or gave to myself. If I want to do something wonderful with my life, I can rid of the programs that work against me, imagine the future I'd like to live, and go ahead and do it. The only thing that can stop me is me. The only thing that can stop you is you. And that's it. And if you'd like to work with me as your life coach, I can help you with all of that. Just email me, Linny@LinnyMotivates.com. I'd love for you to download the Dr. Shad's app, which is always in the description, because that app will significantly shift your thinking and rewire, because it will rewire your brain with programs that you choose to have higher self-esteem, to have live a quality life, have winning relationships, excel in absolutely anything, have success in every single area of your life, your health and fitness. It really doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you will have success at that, because you will rewire your brain with the programs that you choose. So I love you so very, very much. Oh, you can do this. I believe in you. You can find your purpose. You can do absolutely anything. You can change, be, do, have, create absolutely anything. You are unlimited. You were born with unlimited promise and potential. And all you have to do is rewire your brain, because it just got covered up with these old programs. And you can rewire with the programs that you want to put into your brain. That's how beautiful, that's how strong your brain, plus the neurons in your heart, big part of that. I love you so very, very much. As always, shining my light to brighten yours, and see you tomorrow. Good night and ciao.